Life transitions, we all go through them, whether you're getting hired or fired, going through a divorce or heading into retirement. Life transitions stress us out because they take away our sense of security and oftentimes our own identity. But I'm going to give you the secret to get through your next life transition. And to do that, I want you to channel your inner Navy SEAL and go on a dive with me. But not just any scuba dive. I want to take you on a combat mission. Fair enough? So it looks something like this. 12:30 a.m. It's 55 degrees outside and it's raining. We're swimming underwater, wearing a wetsuit underneath our camouflage uniform. We're using an experimental scuba dive system that allows us to recycle our breath for up to 4 hours, and it leaves no bubbles for the enemy to track us. We're connected by a 6-foot lanyard with a loop around each one of our wrists so that we don't lose one another in the cold, dark ocean. Our mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find a very specific ship in an enemy harbor full of other ships and deliver a package and get out without anyone ever knowing we were there. We're navigating underwater, following our pre-planned compass bearing with nothing more than a compass, a depth gauge, and a watch. Because we've meticulously planned this mission, we know that our environment will soon be changing. As we continue to swim, we transition from the quiet darkness of the ocean to the bright lights and loud noises of the enemy harbor. It's during these transition points that we're the most vulnerable because we're moving from the known to the unknown. And these are the times that we need to be the most prepared. As we swim and enter the enemy harbor, the bright lights from the piers and docks are almost too much for our eyes to handle, even though we're still 15 feet underwater. We continue to swim deep into the enemy harbor. And at the appropriate time, we turn 90 degrees and swim for another 15 to 20 minutes. We know that we're getting close to our ship because our compass starts to spin even though we haven't changed directions. Seconds later, we enter our next transition point, where we enter the deepest, darkest depths of hell. A darkness that we never knew could exist. A darkness that starts to consume our soul. The rumble of the shipboard machinery starts to shake us violently and uncontrollably. Fear starts to set in. Fear of the unknown. Fear of getting lost or stuck under the ship. And that fear is almost too much for us to handle. We are in the belly of the beast, and we don't know if we'll ever get back home. This is a mission that we conduct in the SEAL teams called Combat Swimmer or Combat Diver. This mission, as with all missions in the SEAL team, start with something that we call the dirt dive. The dirt dive is the physical and mental rehearsal of an upcoming mission. We conduct a dirt dive before every mission. It doesn't matter if it takes place in the sea, from the air, or on the land. And the most important thing that we talk about during the dirt dive are the transition points, the points of vulnerability, the points where there's a high probability of failure. Well, the truth is, we all go through life transitions that leave us feeling lost, vulnerable, and oftentimes with a loss of identity. I was a Navy SEAL for 26 years. And when I retired from the SEAL teams, I felt like that Avengers movie where Thanos snapped his fingers and half the world's population vanished all at once. I felt fear, I felt doubt, and I felt completely inadequate. I often say that my transition from the SEAL teams to civilian life was and still is the hardest military mission that I've ever been on. But then I realized everything I need to know to get through this life transition, I had learned from planning thousands of missions in the SEAL teams. You see, I believe that everything that we do in life is a mission. And every mission has transition points. Just like the transition from the quiet darkness of the ocean to the bright lights and loud noises of that enemy harbor. We're moving from one medium to the next. But sometimes our transition points, our life transitions, feel like that darkness under that ship, that darkness that's consuming our soul, and we feel stuck. Have you ever felt stuck in the darkness? Yeah, me too. So how do you navigate these life transitions? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to keep moving. In special operations, we talk about that point where we get ambushed by the enemy. That moment. And that point where we get ambushed, we call that the X. The X is the most dangerous place to be. If you stay on that X during the ambush, you're not going to make it very long. You have to keep moving. You have to take back control of your life. And to do that, you have to do 4 little things. Step number 1 is you have to make a plan. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan. Just put pen to paper. Think about where you want to go, what you want to do, or who you want to become. And then write down the steps that it will take you to get there. The second thing you have to do is brief your plan. You don't have to be a PowerPoint warrior to do that. Just find friends or family that you trust. Talk to them about your plan. Talk to them about the steps of your plan and ask for feedback. The people that I love to ask for feedback for my plans are skeptics, because they're going to be more than happy to poke holes in my plan. And they're going to give me a perspective that I wasn't thinking about. But no matter who you ask for feedback for your plan, remember, this is your plan. It is not theirs. The third thing you have to do is the most important step in your life transition, and that's to conduct a dirt dive. This is where the magic happens. But before I explain the full power of the dirt dive, I want to give you an idea of where this came from. The one mission that sets the SEAL teams apart from every other special operations group is our ability to do combat swimmer or combat diver, that dive that we went on a little earlier today. You've probably heard the saying to plan your dive and dive your plan. Well, the dirt dive is where you practice the plan, but in greater detail. The dirt dive is not merely just a physical rehearsal, but a mindset shift where you visualize every step of your plan. For example, in the SEAL teams, we'll plan a mission. We'll memorize everything that we need to know. And then you and your dive partner walk outside with your compass, and you walk through every bearing, every degree, and you talk about how long you're going to be on that bearing, what's going to happen, hand and arm signals that you're going to use, the way that you're going to communicate underwater, because believe me, you cannot have a conversation underwater. I've tried it hundreds of times. It has never worked, not once. Then you talk about contingencies. What should go right, what could go wrong, and what you're going to do in the event that it does. For example, what if my mask floods out and I can't see? What if I lose a fin and I can't swim as fast as I normally can? What if my scuba system stops working during the mission? What if we miss the entrance to the enemy harbor? What if my compass stops working underneath the ship? And what happens when you're struck with panic in the abyss of darkness, weightlessness, and deafening noise? You go back to the plan you practiced, the plan you rehearsed, the plan you visualized over and over again. You go back in your mind and you remember the dirt dive. It's this deep level of immersive and deliberate preparation that enables you to face the unknown with confidence and resilience. In the SEAL teams, we study maps, tactics, and contingency plans. You can use these same principles to navigate your next life transition. Ask yourself, what if, during every step of your plan. This will make you more prepared for when things go sideways, because they will. Just because you made a plan doesn't mean everything's going to work out perfectly. It rarely does, and we like to say that the enemy always gets a vote. But it's this deep level of visualization and contingency planning that ensures you're ready for anything that life throws at you. The fourth step is the fun part. Go execute your plan. Go execute your new life mission. You know not everything's going to go according to plan. That's okay. Do it anyway. Have fun with it and roll with the punches. Most of us see life transitions coming at us, but we rarely make a plan, and we never do a dirt dive, and that is a mistake. There's a saying I use with many of my clients, that if you want to change your behavior, you have to change your identity. If you want to change your behavior, you have to change your identity. So the next time you're facing a life transition, I want you to channel your inner Navy SEAL and start doing dirt dives. Whether you're on a mission in the SEAL teams, switching jobs, heading into retirement, or any other major life change, you need to understand the transitions that you're going to face and what they're going to ask of you before you arrive. And that's how you transition through life like a Navy SEAL. Thank you very much.